Okay, let's jump into a deep dive today. We're focusing on a really key pathway for young competitive fencers in the USA. That's the Super Youth Circuit, or SYC.
We've been looking at the information directly from the USA Fencing website for this.
Exactly. And our mission really is to unpack what the SYC is all about, how these tournaments actually work, and why they're just so significant for youth fencers based on what the official source tells us.
And the SYC is definitely a crucial step. The source material really highlights that these events are one of the main ways fencers in Youth 10 and Youth 12 can qualify.
Qualify for the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Like the March Championship and the National Championship.
Precisely, those key national events.
And here's a strategic point right off the bat. The source says you can fence in multiple SYCs during the season.
But, and this is important,
Mm.
only your single best result from any of those events is what counts toward your national points.
Right. So it's less about just showing up to a bunch of them
Ah.
and more about really nailing a strong performance in at least one.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's unpack the actual competition format as described in the source. SYC events, they follow the standard USA fencing rules.
But there's a key characteristic in the pool round, isn't there? Typically one round of pools.
Yes, and the notable difference, 100% of the fencers advance from pools straight into the direct elimination, or DE, table.
100%. Wow. That really changes the game for pools, doesn't it? You're fencing purely for seeding in the DEs, not just fighting to qualify.
Exactly. The source does mention they aim for pools of maybe 6 or 7 fencers, ideally.
Uh-huh. But what if the event is small?
Well, if there are fewer than 11 total entrants, the source says they might use 2 rounds of pools before going to the DEs.
Good to know. And another specific point they make, no fence off for third place. Bronze is shared.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, because the DE bout rules actually change depending on the age group. This affects the whole rhythm and strategy.
Okay, break that down for us. Let's start with the youngest, Youth 10.
All right, for Youth 10 DE bouts, you're fencing to 10 hits. Or it could end sooner. Based on time, it's 2 periods of 3 minutes each, with a minute break in between.
But there's a quirk in that first period.
Yes, the first period ends at 5 hits, or after 3 minutes, whichever happens first. So it's potentially shorter.
Huh. That short first period in Y10 must encourage some, aggressive starts. Okay, what about Youth 12?
For Youth 12 DE bouts, it steps up. It's 15 hits, or 3 periods of 3 minutes, again with a 1-minute break between each period.
15 hits, 3 periods, got it. And Youth 14.
Youth 14 DE bouts mirror that Y12 structure. So also 15 hits or 3-minute periods with those 1-minute breaks.
Okay, same structure. But there's a difference during the breaks for Y14, right?
That's right.
Okay.
A practical detail for the older fencers. During those 1-minute breaks in Youth 14, the source says one designated person, could be a teammate, coach, or parent, is actually allowed on the strip with the fencer.
Ah, having that support right there during the break, that could really make a difference in a tight bout. Speaking of support and gear you need when you're competing or training hard, we should mention our sponsor, Fencing Family.
Right, Fencing Family. They're an Etsy shop based out in Los Angeles. They have a really great range of fencing-themed stuff, apparel, accessories, all designed for fencers.
And you can find them easily online. Their shop address is https://fencingfamily.etsy.com.
Their whole focus seems to be on making things that are comfortable but also stylish, gear that fencers will actually want to wear all year round.
Yeah, it looks great whether you're heading to the club, you're at a tournament, or just out and about off the strip. Check them out.
Okay, back to the SYC details.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the payoff. Earning those national points. How does that work, according to the source?
So the source explains that points are awarded to the top 40% of the competitive field at an SYC.
The top 40%. And how is that calculated exactly?
Well, that percentage is rounded up to the next whole number.
Yeah.
And there's a cap. Points are given up to a maximum of 64th place, even if that 40% calculation technically goes higher.
Ah, okay. So top 40%, rounded up, max 64th. Is there a minimum size for an event to even award points?
Yes, good point. For any points to be awarded in a youth event, you need at least 3 fencers competing. Can't just be 2 people showing up.
Makes sense. And the points are based on the number of fencers who start the event.
Exactly, based on the number of current competitive members in that specific event's starting field. The source also mentions you should refer to the athlete handbook for the actual point tables and more details.
Right. Always good to check the handbook. And there's a specific note for cadet fencers, too, if cadet events happen at an SYC.
Yes. If those cadet events are also sanctioned as regional cadet circuit events, RCCs, then regional points can be awarded.
But there's a catch, isn't there?
There is. It's only for participants who are fencing in their designated home region for those specific cadet events. So you don't get regional points fencing an RCC outside your region at an SYC.
Got it. So who can actually fence in an SYC? What's the eligibility?
According to the source, it's pretty open within the system. You need to be a current USA fencing competitive member or have a current international competitive license, provided you're eligible to fence in open competitions with that license.
Okay, that covers who can compete. Now, finally, the source touches on classifications. How can your rating change based on these youth tournaments?
Right. So for a classification to be awarded at any youth event, including an SYC, that event has to meet certain criteria, specifically Group C1 or better.
C1 or better. But earning it isn't automatic right when the results are posted online, is it?
No, and this is a really critical point about the process. Classification updates, the official ones, only happen after the tournament organizer does their part.
Which involves what exactly?
They have to submit the official results, all the necessary membership forms, and pay the program service fee directly to the USA Fencing National Office.
So even if you see results pop up quickly online, like on Ask a Free.
Which is great for seeing how you did immediately.
Right, but the source makes it really clear. Those online postings are separate. The actual official update to your classification in the system depends on that distinct submission process to the national office being fully completed by the organizer.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture here? The SYC, based on this USA fencing source material, it's clearly a very defined, structured, and vital pathway for young fencers aiming for higher levels.
Absolutely. You hopefully now have a much deeper understanding of the specific format rules, those different bout structures for each age group, and importantly, how points are earned and how those classification changes actually get processed.
And thinking about that process, it raises a final thought, doesn't it?
It does. While your performance on the strip is obviously what drives your results and your potential rating changes, the source really highlights something important.
Which is?
That the formal recognition of your progress within the official USA fencing system, it's directly tied to these specific administrative steps. Steps the tournament organizer has to complete after the event.
It's a good reminder then. Mastering the sport isn't just about understanding the rules of fencing itself, but also understanding the rules, the procedures of the system you're competing within.